When you master hooping up your fabric and stabilizer to work with your Bernina 790, life is good. It's going to take some time, and there's always going to be something that's going to be challenging. You're going to have to learn how to get it in there straight. But of course, with some of the features on this machine, if you don't get it perfect, there is a way with the pinpoint placement to get it aligned perfectly. So you can actually hoop up pretty crooked. I'm going to walk you through a couple steps that are just key no matter what you're actually working with. Plus, don't forget that we have a whole bunch of information on types of stabilizer for different types of fabric. Stabilizer is key for everything you do. If you don't have the right stabilizer for the fabric you're embroidering on, you might run into some problems, some puckering, some issues with it just not laying flat. So there is an art and knowledge base that you have to practice and learn with. Now, if you really want to get good at hooping, may I recommend our Embroidery Essentials online class. We teach you how to conserve stabilizer with some awesome hooping techniques. You're learning all sorts of embroidery techniques, a total of 15, and by doing something over and over and over, you are going to get good at hooping, and with a little forgiveness along the way, because it doesn't have to be perfect, but because you have to do it over and over and over, you get the art of hooping. So Embroidery Essentials online class, there's links below this YouTube video. Please check it out. Trust me, if you want to go from zero to hero with your machine, this is the fastest way to do it. All right, but basics. First off, take a look at your embroidery hoop. You are going to notice that the bracket is always going to be on your left side. That's because it's going to attach to the embroidery unit here. You're going to notice there's a screw, which we're going to use and open up quite a bit, so it makes it easy for us to get our fabric and stabilizer in the hoop. One other thing, you're going to notice at the bottom, there is two little arrows, and they point to each other. And so if you don't see two arrows pointing to each other, that might be flipped around. Just a great way to kind of get set up. Now, I did mention that there are some templates that are available that came with this machine, and I know they're clear here. Here we go, magic. You will find that there are two little clips in the bag where your foot was, where you can just slip these in and they'll hold. Let me show you why we would even use a template in the first place. When it's like this, it will sit right inside the hoop and help you line up. So if you have lines drawn on your fabric, that way you can see if you're actually lined up when you're hooping. And of course, then you just lift it out before you start. That's key, by the way. Some students forget that part. All right, next, the other thing that I'm going to stress right now is when you're embroidering and you want it to turn out good every single time, 2 layers of stabilizer minimum. Always do 2. Yes, you could get away with 1, but then that one time you don't, then you have wasted that time. So I have 2 layers of tearaway stabilizer because I'm working on a cotton woven fabric. Woven fabrics, you can use tearaway. You will be using cutaway if it's knit or stretchy fabrics. And there are water soluble stabilizers as well. Those actually wash away, so it's almost like a tearaway, just tears instead of, it washes instead of tears. Okay, but the last thing is when I go to hoop, it's so easy to stretch this fabric out. And that's why I have my can of 505 spray. I love this because it doesn't stink and it doesn't gum up my needle. But let me show you how it works and why it is so wonderful. Now, usually I'm not spraying so close to my machine, so you might want to kind of find a place where you could kind of catch some of the overspray. But I'm going to just do a minimal amount. I'm going to spray my first layer of stabilizer, and then I'm going to lay this one on top of it. It's like a gigantic Post-it note right now. And then I'm going to spray the top one here also. Now watch what this is going to do. It's going to create this little tack. So when I lay my fabric over my stabilizer, you will find that it's just going to stick. But now remember how I was pulling on that corner? I can't stretch it anymore. It's secured to the stabilizer. That means that I'm not going to accidentally stretch it out of position while I'm hooping. So I kind of call it insurance in a can. There's those that use this and they love it, and then those that wish they did. So get a can. It's awesome. All right, next, if I've drawn lines on my fabric for lining up, definitely want to work with those. But for right now, I'm going to just work on showing you how to get everything in the hoop. I'm going to open that screw up a little bit more. You'll notice it has kind of a snap opening. You'll need to kind of have it open. By the way, there are something called hoop springs that you can add to this, so it actually helps you keep those open, which I absolutely love. So recommended hoop springs. We'll put links below this YouTube video where you can find those. Okay, so the outer hoop goes onto your table, and even though I'm standing to do this video, it is something that I always do. I always stand up when I hoop. So find yourself a work surface because you're going to use that downward pressure to hold it in place. So I'm going to get my hoop where I want it. If I have my template in here, that's going to help me visualize that I'm getting it straight here. And then I'm going to take everything, stabilizer, fabric, hoop, and template, and set it right on top of my outer hoop. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and push it in at the top first, hold it there, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to slide it off the edge of the table, and I'm using my fingers under here to kind of open up that hoop so the rest of the hoop and the fabric and stabilizer can all get pushed down at once. Now if that was not easy for you, make sure that you open that screw a little bit further. It shouldn't actually be too hard to do. Once it's in there, you're there. Then you're just going to go ahead, tighten this screw up. Again, you can kind of slide it off the edge of the table or such, but just start to tighten it as much as you physically can. And then make sure that the inner hoop is all the way down into the outer hoop. Here's a way to kind of test. Take your thumbs right here, and then just push a little past flush all the way around. And that will help get everything just a little bit tighter in and around the hoop. Now Bernina makes oval hoops, and that really helps keep the fabric nicely tightened evenly all the way around. And by pushing a little past flush like I did here, listen, it's quiet. So if you do this and you hear two hoops rubbing against the table, you can get that noise to disappear by just pushing a little bit further. Ooh, I like the way that's looking. My fabric is hooped. I could double check if my template is helping to line something up, and I am ready to show you how we get the hoop attached to the machine.